It's just early in the morning, so you can get some exercise. I want you to raise hand if you have ever bought a CD in your life. Many. Please keep your hand raised if you have bought it in the last 3 months. I can see some hands. I will promise you that I will invite you for dinner date. The people who have invited still have their hands up. But this is an example of one industry which have transformed completely. And of course, you can have a lot of challenges. There are a lot of discussions. People were skeptic if digital rights, competition management, affordability. But it's an example of one of the industry which have transformed completely due to connectivity. It has completely dematerialized the supply chain, complex supply chain. It has made it more affordable for the people. But we have a vision, and we talk about network society, where we believe everything which can benefit will be connected. We talked about 50 billion connected devices in 2020, few years back, and a lot of people were very skeptic about it in 2010. Already today, some of you who have been in Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas or have read about it, there were 76 new wearable devices launched. So our vision is that when people are connected, individual lives change, but when everything will be connected, the whole world will change. So combination of mobility, cloud, and broadband is going to transform individuals, society, and businesses. And I can tell you, any industry today we talk to, every single industry has mobility, broadband, and cloud on their strategic agenda. And any industry which decides to ignore this will no longer be existent in 5 years from now. So network society is not only transforming the industry and businesses, but is needed for society. We all know about the sustainability challenge. GDP is doubling. GDP will double by 2050. For us to be able to handle that kind of infrastructure, we need to have investment in ICT. We at Ericsson, we do something called Network Society Index, where we looked at 31 cities, 31 mega cities around the world. And we looked at the impact of ICT maturity into 3 aspects: social, economic, and environment. And there is a clear correlation. Higher maturity of the ICT leads to better return on social, economic, and environmental impact. And we have done this study including Singapore. You can recognize this picture. Singapore comes out as one of the top countries where Singapore has ICT vision. Steve talked about ICT vision for Singapore, and I have to compliment Singapore having a holistic approach where they have taken the ICT blueprint for 2015 and they are executing on ICT blueprint step by step in dedicated areas. So they have e-health. Steve talked about dengue and collecting the data and working on it. Singapore is working on transportation. Few other examples: Seoul is working extremely well with ICT to transform the city, make it future-proof and ready. Stockholm is another example. So there are a lot of examples there where we have done this study, and we can easily see the correlation of ICT maturity in the country to the development. I can see I'm running out of time, but I'll try to run fast. Other example I would like to talk about is learning experience, and Steve again talked about Mongolia example. I can give you my own personal example. I come from a very small city in India, and I see a lot of Indian friends out there. When I was growing up some 30 years back, there was a conception that smart people only came from major cities. And I was from a very small city. And I proved that that's not right. The smarter people came from bigger cities because they had access to better education system, they had access to better teachers, while the people out there like myself in smaller cities didn't have the access. The traditional education system was books were printed in a central city, transported, sometimes it get lost, sometimes rain comes, destroyed, and you get the books or material after 6 months. All that is changing now, and Steve talked about Mongolia. We would like to talk about our program which we are doing, Connect to Learn, which we have launched in several African and Asian nations. We don't have enough number yet, but we have some 12,000 students who are learning remotely with Connect to Learn. It's easy to implement, and there are a lot of examples where education is very easily accessible to people out in the remote and rural areas through internet and through connectivity. And it's not only happening in developing nations. You must have heard of Coursera, the online university we started from Stanford. 5 million people are registered to that. 83 universities are offering courses through Coursera. 583 courses being offered there. Out of 5 million people, 5 million students, 3.5 million students are from developed countries and 1.5 from developing countries. So there's a tremendous improvement going on. This gentleman, I don't know if you know him, he's a professor in Newcastle University in London. 1999, he went to Delhi slums and he put some computers in a project called Hole in a Wall. So he put some old computers with connectivity and just left it in Delhi slums. He went back to the same area 3 months later and he was astonished to see that the kids who had no formal education were playing on the computers. And he asked them, so what's your concern or what have you learned? And they said, we have 2 complaints. Number 1, this machine is too slow for us. Number 2, we were forced to learn English because there is no content on Hindi in this. They had no knowledge about English, they had never seen any machine, and they could self-learn. And I can go on and on and on this. This is a picture of the library, which was launched 2013 in San Antonio, Texas. 10,000 ebooks, not a single physical printed book, 500 e-readers, and some 48 computers, 4,000 square feet. This is only possible due to the advancement in the technology. Refugees United. We work with Refugees United. As you know, there are 43 million people who are separated from their family, either due to war or due to natural calamity. We have launched this SMS-based program with help of United Nations, where people can register over a simple SMS, and in last 2 years, more than 500,000 people have connected to their families and relatives. So I can go on like this. I can talk whole day about different examples, and I know there are a lot of people sitting here who might be skeptical and critic about just the positive development I'm talking about. Yes, of course, there are a lot of challenges. There will be a lot of challenges. Steve talked about 3 challenges. Security, Steve talked about the spectrum. There will be a lot of challenges, but that's why people like myself and Steve and Lee has a job, and you have a job. It's our responsibility as the industry to make sure that we work with those challenges. We can sit here in this room and talk about negative. We can sit here and talk about challenges. We can be critical about all the development. Development can be fast enough, but only thing I would like to leave with is that if we together, people in this room, policymakers, academics, research people, government people, if we don't work together to fix the ICT for the country, for the cities, for the nations, the industries, the business, we will not do any good for the society or for the businesses. With that, I hand over to Lee. Thank you.
Thank you.